From the nation's capital, Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. A weekly discussion about the federal issues most important to Nevada. And now, from Washington, D.C., here's Marilee Joyce.
And good day to you. I'm Marilee Joyce, and this is Eye on Washington. It's the only statewide Nevada news program produced in Washington, D.C. Every week, Eye on Washington takes you straight to Capitol Hill for a discussion with Nevada's delegation and other leaders about the federal matters that matter to you. Today's topic, the road to wealth, the critical importance of transportation to business and the economy. And my guest today is Lee Gibson, the Executive Director of the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Well, it's pretty basic. If you can't move people and goods safely, quickly, and efficiently, you can't have a healthy economy. And today on Eye on Washington, we'll look at how an investment in transportation and infrastructure is an investment in job creation. We'll find out why every member of the Nevada delegation places transportation and infrastructure among his or her top priorities. And we'll ask my guest to update us on the big Nevada projects included in the recently passed FAST Act. Well, a strong argument can be made that the economic health of a nation is linked to the health of its transportation infrastructure. That, according to the 2014 book, The Principles, Strategies, and Decisions for the Effective Flow of Goods and Services, which says this argument works in two ways. First, an extensive infrastructure supports economic growth. And second, economic strength supports investment in infrastructure. In fact, the ease or difficulty with which companies can transport goods within a country or even within a state or within a community can have repercussions on global trade. And that's one big reason why my guest, Mr. Gibson, works to do all he can to make sure RTC Washoe has a strong transportation system. And Mr. Gibson, you've been here many times to discuss federal legislation important to Nevada transportation, but I want to get very basic on the biggest transportation itself is important, why the biggest reason it's important, rather, the system. Whether we're talking roadways, highways, bike trails, or footpaths, it has to support industry. Isn't that correct?
That's absolutely correct. We need to move people efficiently, safely, and effectively to places of employment, to places of training, and places for recreation. When we recreate, we often spend money that percolates through the economy, sure, has a multiplier effect, and that helps create jobs. And so that's why the system is so important to our community.
Now, each member of our statewide audience, of course, they go to work, they go to school, the store, the park, and they live in a community. So, we kind of take for granted a functioning transportation system to get us where we're going every day, whether it be work, school, our jobs, etc. But without it, where would Washoe County be? Where would the United States be? So the society be economically without a working transportation system?
Well, I think historically, and this is maybe a little history, I actually heard from the chairman of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Mr. Schuster, and that is that our Constitution emanated from the fact that they couldn't solve transportation problems in 1785 or whatever it was. And that's true today. If we do not have a functioning transportation system, our economy will not work. We in Reno and the Sparks area are at the tip of the spear, as I like to say, with respect to Sacramento and the Bay Area. We're at that point where most of the Asian trade flows through our community. Our rapidly growing manufacturing and distribution companies that are locating in the Reno Sparks area are adding value to those products. So we need to really focus our efforts at the local level and work with our partners at the delegation and the federal delegation back here to ensure that we have the resources and the laws to support those investments to keep our economy moving again.
Well, tell us then the connection between the Reno area and Sacramento, San Francisco, et cetera, for that whole the Asian trade and everything else that you're talking about, the goods and services. If there's a snag in the transportation system, what does that do to companies? What does that do to the moving of goods and services and people's jobs and getting where you're going?
If you run a transportation company, when a truck and a trailer are parked at a distribution point, you're not making money. You need to have that vehicle out on the road. They have to be moving the products back and forth between say, Reno and Sparks and Sacramento, or Reno and Sparks in the Bay Area. When the transportation system fails and that vehicle and that trailer can't move, then those companies don't make money. And when they don't make money, that's when we face challenges with respect to creating jobs and creating wealth in the economy.
So that book that I mentioned, The Definitive Guide to Transportation, do you agree with its authors that, quote, the economic health of a nation is linked to the health of its transportation infrastructure?
Oh, absolutely. And I think I've said this many times on this show. I say it in our community. This nation needs to continue to invest in infrastructure. It's how we will build the insurance, if you will, to moderate the effects of changes in the business cycle. It's how we in the Reno-Sparks area are building a new economy so that what we went through in the Great Recession never happens again.
And it connects people and places and people to goods and places to goods as well, right?
Exactly, and that's what builds wealth and value in a community.
Okay, and when we return, transportation's linked to everything from humanitarian relief to our health care to our national security and a whole lot more. That's just ahead.
You're watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, brought to you by Caesars Entertainment, Las Vegas Sands Corporation, the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, Jim Marsh Automotive, the Rogich Communications Group, and by Champion Chevrolet Reno.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions. And all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. Play responsibly.
We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
This girl is very pretty. It's inciting feelings of jealousy in me. We should pick on her.
I'm insecure about some things, so I think we should put some me stuff on here. Maybe even some lies, too.
Yeah.
I just want to be accepted by you both. So I'm going to send this to my friends so they think I'm cool.
Kids bully for all kinds of reasons. None of them are good. Find ways to get involved at flipthescriptnow.org.
Help Nevada Humane Society save the lives of orphan kittens by becoming a foster care volunteer. Over 2,000 kittens a year need temporary care.
These kittens need food and personal attention until they're old enough for adoption. Foster care is fun, rewarding, and truly saves lives.
I love fostering. I have fostered almost 50 kittens so far, and it is so rewarding.
If you can foster kittens for a few weeks, we can find them homes for life. To learn how you can become a foster care volunteer, call or visit Nevada Humane Society.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington, our discussion of transportation issues and what our delegation's working on your behalf here on Capitol Hill. My guest today is Lee Gibson, the Executive Director of the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County. Well, what if you headed off to work or school or your medical appointment today and poof, the roads and bike paths and the foot trails were just gone? Well, we do take for granted the intricate transportation system that is the main reason you can get where you're going. Well, that master plan, like the one my guest, Mr. Gibson, creates and oversees. But for this segment, I want to look at the tie between this transportation system on the very local level to our very global economy, our national security, and a whole lot more. In The Definitive Guide to Transportation, author Thomas Goolsbee and the rest of the authors make clear that transportation is a significant industry in every developed country. It is pretty simple. If you can't easily get to work, you cannot eat. And if a company cannot move goods goods or services, there is no company. But Mr. Gibson isn't just focused on getting you to work and your kids to school and your company's goods on the road. Goldsby explains how transportation impacts our lives in profound ways. It can be life-saving, an ambulance getting someone to the hospital, or life-saving on a grand scale, helping meet calls for humanitarian relief, or life-saving on a national level, transporting our military, or aiding in the fight against terrorists. So, Mr. Gibson, this is a different track than we've taken when you've been on my show previously. It is important to get people to work and school and taking walks and in parks and on bike paths. But it's also crucial to make sure people get help they need quickly and effectively, whether that's an ambulance, all the way to our national security.
No, that's correct. And actually what's happening in the transportation system today, most people think of the transportation system as either a bus, a train, an automobile on a road or a rail bed. But one of the things that helps with emergency management today is technology. And our cell phones, our smartphones, communication devices, and traditional radio television are intricately tied together electronically to help deliver messages to people so that during times of crises, they can behave or react accordingly with respect to maybe staying off the roads or staying off a particular route. So today, we as a transportation system are prepared for that. We use what we call our intelligent transportation systems, for example, to help with traffic signal timing so that when an ambulance has to come through an area, it can make the change to the signal occur and move that ill or injured person through that system as quickly as possible.
And we also, to expand on that, we rely on a solid functional transportation system to deliver, say, water, medical equipment, communications equipment, even our energy, correct?
That's correct. And gasoline often is moved through on our roadway through tankers. We've all been at the gas station when the tanker arrives. So clearly our transportation system meets a lot of our indirect needs. And how we manage that system is really crucial to making sure that our safety and our life necessities are being met. Don't forget, too, food is transported by trucks, and without a food distribution system, you know, we're all going to have some problems.
Well, tie that in on the Washoe County level. How do you work that into your master plan?
We work that into our master plan through a variety of mechanisms. First, we like to look at the origin and destination patterns of where goods and services and people are moving to and from. From that, we can get a gauge of relative demand, so we can make large infrastructure investments into those systems that support that. We're just finishing a freight plan with the Nevada DOT. That's going to be helpful in us looking at how, especially to get food into the Washoe County area. A big movement in the agricultural industry today is for us to consume locally grown, locally available foodstuffs. So we're seeing in Washoe County in northwestern Nevada, a lot of the farms are growing vegetables or providing other products, dairy products, and they're coming in just on old-fashioned farm-to-market roads. And that's actually helping us create, one, a sustainable economy, two, a sustainable environment, because whenever we don't have to rely on, say, foodstuffs from far away, we don't consume as much energy. Sure. So this is a dramatic change that's occurring in our region that I think is going to profoundly affect how we live, work, and recreate.
You know, I want to ask one more kind of master plan associated question. You know, back to the economy as the main focus. During the height of the Great Recession, which Nevada suffered more than any other state, as we know, with job loss and foreclosures, what was your main focus? How did you make certain that your master plan supported an economy suffering like Nevada was?
We were very fortunate, and I think the citizens of Washoe County need to be applauded. And right as the Great Recession started, they supported an increase in funding for transportation. The idea being that we would build our roads and maintain our infrastructure and develop our infrastructure, even though we knew all of us were going to face economic challenges. In other words, they did their own local economic stimulus or fiscal stimulus to develop the road system. And today, I'm very proud of the fact that today, our infrastructure, from the bike lanes and pedestrian sidewalks we've helped reconstruct to the Southeast Connector, one of our big projects, has helped us build a system that is really catapulting us to the next level of economic development and change, and we're actually building a new economy in the Reno-Sparks area around manufacturing and distribution and education.
Oh, good news. When we return, there's a reason why every member of the Nevada congressional delegation ranks transportation as a top priority. We're going to tell you about it right after this.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, the only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Marilee talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions. And all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong, a place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. Play responsibly.
We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting. So why would you do it while driving? Leave risky driving to the professionals. Stop the texts, and together we can stop the wrecks.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington, our discussion of top transportation needs facing Nevada and what's being done on the Hill and in the state to meet them. We've been visiting with one of our favorite guests, Mr. Lee Gibson, the head of the RTC of Washoe County. Well, we do a lot of transportation news here on Eye on Washington, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, because transportation continually ranks among the top federal issues in Nevada and nationally. And two, because Eye on Washington is about federal news that impacts you. And our whole congressional delegation cares a lot about transportation. Let's look at some comments. Here's one from Senator Reed. I recognize that every minute spent in congested traffic is wasted opportunity for Nevada's families and businesses. Congresswoman Titus says, quote, bringing people and products from around the world is critical to the Las Vegas economy. Congressman Hardy calls transportation key to economic success of rural and urban economies alike, and of his Senate Finance Committee's working group on infrastructure and community development. Senator Heller says, I'm well positioned to strongly advocate on behalf of Nevada Nevada's and our transportation's needs. And Mr. Gibson, I want to start with that latter. You know, you've said many times here that for a small state, Nevada is so fortunate to have many of our delegation leaders in key positions that help transportation.
That's right. Congresswoman Titus and Congressman Hardy both sit on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and they both sit on the Highway and Transit Subcommittee. So they were key players in the reauthorization process for the FAST Act. Of course, Senator Reid has always played a major role in his leadership positions throughout his career. And of course, Senator Heller is coming into the picture more and more and has been a big advocate for our entire state, helping the other members of the delegation move the legislation through. So yes, they're all key players. And Nevada is a bridge state. We serve, in many respects, a greater mission, if you will, as a bridge state between California and the rest of the country to ensure the timely delivery and shipment of products and services across the nation, and especially in dealing with Pacific trade. So.
Well, you know, in fact, here's a quote again from Congresswoman Titus. She said, "Transportation and infrastructure are vital to our local economy, and these assignments, as you mentioned, give us a seat at the table for some of the most important legislative issues facing our region." You know, she played a big role in that Surface Transportation Act, and you were on here recently with Congressman Hardy about that. But and you've lauded on this show everything that happened for Nevada.
That's exactly correct. And Congresswoman Titus and Congressman Hardy were there at the table helping write the rules and the regulations. You know, oftentimes we focus maybe on funding, but rules and regulations, keeping programs like the Transit New Starts and Small Starts program intact and moving forward and funded are critical, especially for us in Washoe County, where we have two projects that are going through the Federal Transit Administration's Small Starts program. Fourth Prater, Virginia Street are both very, very significant corridors for us. They link the university to the rest of the community. We're linking UNR downtown and midtown together, reshaping our urban environment and creating new opportunities for businesses. Without those two keeping that program intact, we wouldn't be able to do that.
You know, I want to quickly get to both Congressman Amedee and Hex, and we'll do two separate things. Congressman Amedee says on his site that, quote, "having good transportation infrastructure is a critical component towards economic growth, especially in a state as economically diverse and expansive as ours." And you've said it's important to recognize, as he's saying, that different Nevada communities have different transportation needs.
That's correct. Congressman Amedee, of course, is our congressman, and he plays a very central role in being the champion for helping us integrate the rural economies in and around Washoe County with the Reno-Sparks area.
You know, and quickly, Congressman Heck, caucuses are important too, and he serves on and advocates strongly for Nevada's travel and tourism caucuses, and that is important to you as well.
That's correct. We have a very strong partnership with the RSCBA. We really want to focus on transportation interfaces between our airport, our surface transportation system, moving people to the resort opportunities in Reno and Sparks, and actually to the lake.
And caucuses are important as well because they teach others about the importance of travel and tourism.
That's correct, and they link the transportation legislation to other legislative initiatives that are going on throughout Congress to help make all of the laws that we have to follow coordinated.
And when we return, an update on my guest's top transportation projects and how he worked with congressional delegation to help get them in the Surface Transportation Act, and that's coming up.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. Play responsibly.
We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. The only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Marilee talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
It's already rented.
If you believe you've been discriminated against in housing because of your race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, or disability, call HUD or visit hud.gov/fairhousing. Fair housing is your right. Use it.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions. And all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
A family's presence in the hospital helps children heal faster and cope better. But children who need specialized medical care are often sent out of the Reno area for treatment. Costs can get unmanageable, and it can be difficult for families to accompany their sick child. The Travel for Treatment program, presented by Ronald McDonald House Charities Northern Nevada, gives parents travel assistance when a child's medical treatment is not available at a local hospital. Please contact us today for more information and to see how you can help. Donate online at rmhc-reno.org.
Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
And we are back with our closing segment of Eye on Washington, the show on Nevada transportation news and the importance in federal involvement to this major Nevada and national industry. We've been visiting with Mr. Lee Gibson, the Executive Director of the RTC of Washoe County. Mr. Gibson, you were on here recently with Congressman Hardy about a month ago, expressing a lot of excitement over the passage of the FAST Act. Remind us of that bill's importance to Nevada and what projects important to you, to Nevada, were included in the bill.
Well, I-11 is in the bill, and we're looking forward to working with the Nevada Department of Transportation to start planning I-11 coming up to the northwestern part of the state. That's always a great, that's going to be a very, very significant once in lifetime challenge. So I'm really looking forward to that. The FAST Act also gives us some opportunities to invest dollars in our freight system. We're looking at the Spaghetti Bowl right now in Reno, the I-80, I-580, 395 interchange. That's the system-to-system interchange. It really is a break point between us and the rest of California and us and the rest of the nation. So we want to get some improvements targeted and funded through the FAST Act, especially through the freight programs that are included in there. We're also looking forward to the Small Starts program under the Federal Transit Administration.
So a lot of good news in that bill.
A lot of good news, a lot of opportunity.
All right, thanks for being here. That does wrap up this week's Eye on Washington. I hope you'll join us next time as we discuss more important federal matters and their impact on you in Nevada. You can visit joycecommunications.com or our Facebook page for more news from the Hill that impacts Nevadans, and watch any show you've missed on our YouTube page. Thanks for joining us today on Eye on Washington. I'm Marilee Joyce in Washington, D.C. Have a great day.